You think the saber-toothed tiger was a tiger? Then you are very wrong. It wasn't even the same species as modern tigers, and it was even deadlier than a tiger. Just imagine it, two fangs 20 centimeters long, stabbing toward you like two daggers right in front of your eyes. That length is about the length of your entire palm. A modern tiger's canine teeth are only about 6 centimeters long. The saber-toothed tiger's fangs were more than 3 times longer. Even more terrifying, those two fangs could open at an angle of 120 degrees, like a pair of scissors, made specifically to cut through a prey animal's throat and windpipe and kill with one strike. And its bite force, although only about 1/3 that of a modern tiger, don't celebrate too early, because it never needed to crush your bones. It only needed to use its fangs to precisely pierce your carotid artery, causing you to bleed to death within 30 seconds. Scientists once found on fossils that the saber-toothed tiger's fangs could actually fracture. What does that mean? It means that while hunting, it drove its fangs deep into its prey's body with such force that even the fangs themselves could not withstand it. This animal ruled the Earth for 42 million years, yet suddenly went extinct 10,000 years ago. And the real reason for its disappearance is still an unsolved mystery to this day. But what you would never guess is that in August 2020, a discovery that shocked the entire world completely rewrote what we knew. Mammoth ivory diggers dug up a 37,000-year-old saber-toothed tiger cub from the Siberian permafrost. A mummy. Pay attention. A mummy, not a fossil. Its head, limbs, paws, and even whiskers were all completely preserved. This was the first time in human history that soft tissue from a saber-toothed tiger had ever been found. When scientists compared this 3-week-old cub to a lion cub of the same age, they were stunned. Its neck was as thick as that of an adult lion. Its forelimb muscles were twice as developed as a lion's. Its mouth was wide enough to fit 2 fists inside, a newborn, and it already had the body of a bodybuilding champion. This solved a century-old mystery. How did the saber-toothed tiger hunt? The answer shocked everyone. It didn't use its bite to kill. It used its body slam. Imagine a 300-kilogram saber-toothed tiger lying in ambush in the bushes, perfectly still, like a giant boulder. A 1-ton mammoth walks slowly past. The saber-toothed tiger suddenly explodes into motion. It doesn't open its mouth to bite. Instead, like a wrestler, it uses its insanely powerful forelimbs to lock onto the prey. The mammoth is violently slammed to the ground, its spine broken, unable to move. The whole process takes less than 5 seconds. Then the saber-toothed tiger opens its mouth to 120 degrees and drives those 2 scalpel-like fangs precisely into the soft tissue of the throat. Not biting, cutting, not chewing, slashing. The carotid artery is severed and the prey bleeds out in 3 seconds, faster than a lion killing a buffalo. That was the saber-toothed tiger, a perfect killing machine. But there wasn't just one kind of saber-toothed tiger. In the Ice Age world, the saber-tooth family had at least 3 brutal heavyweights. The most famous was Smilodon. Its body size was about the same as a male lion, but it was packed with far more muscle than a lion. If a lion was an athlete, then Smilodon was a gym monster, but even it was not the biggest. The true king was called the giant saber-toothed cat, which lived in South America. It weighed nearly 400 kilograms, bigger than a tiger by an entire size class. A cat built like a small bull. If it were transported into the modern world and stood in front of a Siberian tiger, the tiger would feel the way you feel when standing next to Yao Ming. They simply wouldn't be in the same weight class. Even more outrageous, in 2022, Chinese scientists in Yuanmu, Yunnan, discovered a species of saber-toothed tiger called Xingyong Longchuan saber-tooth. It was only about the size of a leopard, weighing 40 to 50 kilograms. But at the same site, they also dug up thousands of ancient ape fossils. After analysis, they reached a terrifying conclusion. These medium-sized saber-toothed tigers very likely treated human ancestors as a staple food source. Think about it. 8 million years ago, our ancestors were swinging around in the trees, thinking they had escaped the dangers on the ground, while below them crouched a pack of professionally trained hunters, saber-toothed tigers, ready at any moment to tear them to pieces. The fact that humans survived to this day is practically a miracle. So what kind of life did saber-toothed tigers live during the Ice Age? You think they were invincible? Completely wrong. Every opponent they faced was a ruthless monster in its own right. First, there were dire wolves, bigger than gray wolves by a whole size class, with astonishing bite force. They moved in packs, often more than 10 at a time. A prey animal the saber-toothed tiger had worked hard to kill could be stolen by a wolf pack before it had even taken a few bites. Even worse was the giant short-faced bear. Standing 4 meters tall, when upright, it specialized in stealing other animals' kills. Paleontologists call this kleptoparasitism. To put it plainly, it was the Ice Age equivalent of a mafia boss. The saber-toothed tiger spends forever killing a bison, and then the short-faced bear strolls over, plants itself there, and the saber-toothed tiger has no choice but to slink away and give up the carcass, then go hunt again on an empty stomach. That was the survival law of the Ice Age. So brutal it was suffocating. But the most shocking discovery came from the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles. This was a natural death trap. Tar seeped up from underground and formed sticky black pools on the surface. Once an animal stepped in, it sank deeper and deeper, until it was trapped alive and died there. Scientists dug up more than 2,000 saber-toothed tiger skeleton fossils. That number is absurd. The entire modern lion population today is only in the tens of thousands. Even stranger, many of these bones showed healed injuries. Broken leg bones, cracked ribs, skulls that had been punctured and later healed. A modern solitary cat would almost certainly die from injuries like these. But the saber-toothed tiger survived. Its wounds healed, its bones mended. What does that mean? It means the saber-toothed tiger was a social animal. Injured individuals survived because companions shared food with them. A cold-blooded killer that somehow had a social welfare system that shattered everyone's assumptions. In 2022, the journal Science confirmed this point. Scientists found a saber-toothed tiger fossil with severe hip dysplasia. It had been crippled since youth and could not possibly have hunted on its own. But it lived into adulthood, which means companions had been feeding it the whole time. In a cruel world where the weak are prey to the strong, the saber-toothed tiger knew how to care for disabled companions. How astonishing is that? This kind of behavior is almost non-existent among modern cats. Only lion prides occasionally show anything similar. The saber-toothed tiger's social structure was far more complex than we imagined. So how could such an incredible species suddenly disappear? Scientists performed precise dating on 172 fossils from the tar pits, from 14,000 years ago to 13,000 years ago. Within a span of just 1,000 years, saber-toothed tigers, dire wolves, mammoths, giant ground sloths, all vanished. And the order of disappearance is interesting. First, the herbivores went extinct, then several hundred years later, the predators disappeared. It was like dominoes. Once one tile fell, the entire ecosystem collapsed. Even stranger, large amounts of charcoal particles were found in nearby lake sediments. This proves that a super wildfire burned continuously for 300 years at that time. What does that mean? It means the forests of North America burned for 300 years. Climate warming, glacier melting, humans entering the Americas and hunting, vegetation spiraling out of control, wildfires becoming frequent. The ecosystem completely collapsed. The saber-toothed tiger wasn't facing just one enemy. It was being hit by 4 killers at once. Any one of them by itself might not have been fatal, but combined together, they became total annihilation. And even worse, it had its own built-in problem. 3 million years of evolution had turned it into a perfect giant prey killing machine. Its short hind legs meant it could only ambush. Its long fangs meant it could only kill large prey. Its massive body meant it needed large animals full of meat. When mammoths, ancient bison, and giant ground sloths went extinct one after another, all that remained were agile small animals like rabbits, deer, and small antelope. The saber-toothed tiger's heavy body simply could not catch these nimble little creatures. But wolves and cougars, flexible predators, thrived in exactly that kind of environment. They could eat anything and catch anything. As soon as the environment changed, they adapted immediately. Wolf packs could maintain themselves on small prey. Cougars had long legs and high speed, perfect for chasing agile animals. But the saber-toothed tiger couldn't do that. It only knew one move: take down giant animals. Once the giant animals were gone, that move was useless. The most ironic part is this: when the last saber-toothed tiger died 10,000 years ago, humans in the Middle East had already established ritual culture, and the world's first city had already been thriving for more than 1,000 years. We and the saber-toothed tiger once shared the same land. Humans hid in caves to avoid saber-toothed tigers. Saber-toothed tigers hunted human ancestors. But in the end, humans, empty-handed and fangless, survived, while the saber-toothed tiger, with its 20-centimeter fangs and 300-kilogram body, vanished completely. Why? Because humans eat anything and adapt to anything. If there is no meat, we eat fruit. If there is no fruit, we eat roots. If there are no roots, we eat insects. And if all else fails, we can even eat bark. Our diet is terrifyingly flexible. Our adaptability is unbelievably extreme. But the saber-toothed tiger knew only one thing: how to kill large animals. Once it could no longer do that, it could only wait for death. That is evolution's cruel trap: over-specialization. Evolution gave the saber-toothed tiger the sharpest weapons, the strongest body, the most precise killing technique, but it also handed it a death trap. When the environment changed, every advantage turned into a disadvantage. Species today are facing the same problem. Giant pandas eat only bamboo. Koalas eat only eucalyptus leaves. Polar bears can only hunt on sea ice. When those conditions disappear, will they become the next saber-toothed tiger? Scientists warn that climate change is accelerating, and many highly specialized species may go extinct within the next few decades. Over 42 million years, evolution used the story of the saber-toothed tiger to tell us one brutal truth: strength does not mean permanence. Perfection does not mean safety. To become too specialized is to dig your own grave. In the end, the saber-toothed tiger's 20-centimeter fangs did not pierce a mammoth's throat. They pierced its own future. That is the greatest warning the saber-toothed tiger left for us.